What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action, spawning in the blue color, playing as Hades. His name is Nullus. His opponent today in the red color, playing as Isis. His name is Joe. Joe the Great, Joe the Wise, Joe the playing Isis on this very, very similar to Anatolia map. Now, this is a very, very exciting matchup. I think this is possibly one of the more interesting matchups we're going to see in terms of what we're actually... Well, I mean, it's one of the more rare matchups we're going to see. Any game that Joe or Chemo plays in this tournament, they're most likely going to be picking mostly, or specifically Joe, less so Chemo. Maybe I'll start again. Whenever we watch a Joe game, he's going to be one of the only players who's going to be picking an Egyptian god here. He's one of the only ones who's only going to pick Egyptian. He might stray off into Zeus somewhere along the lines, but he is a Egyptian main through and through. He's going to feel most comfortable on Egyptian, and he's going to be playing Egyptian most of the time. So therefore, we will be seeing some matchups we might otherwise not see too often. Now, this map here is called Tundra Pools. I love this map. I think it's a lot of fun. You get safe fish off on the side of the map. Both players do. So you're going to have to master a build order or construct a build order around the fact that there's two ponds here, whether or not you want to do some sort of a rush or some sort of a defense. All this stuff is going to be things you have to kind of think about in your prep. Joe here, he's going to be able to throw up a second dock, I should say, not temple, a second dock really early on the other spot. Nullus on the other hand here, he's got a bit of an awkward build order because he's got only the 5 fishing spots. And generally speaking, when you do these double dock openings, you want to go 7 onto wood first, and then move the villager over here over to the water. But it seems like to me, he's actually, I think the most efficient way to do this would have been to send a villager already to this shore, get that dock started way before this fishing ship comes out, because now Nullus is in a position where he's going to have 50 wood in the bank and not be able to spend it. So it would have been nice for this dock to already be completed here. So just a little bit of inefficiencies here from Nullus, but it seems to me that Joe is doing the same sort of inefficiencies here. And if he builds that fishing ship, it is really, really bad because there's no more spots for it as that fishing ship is getting closer and closer to finishing, and Joe is going to be disappointed to see that it is going to have to be deleted here. Now, he might use it to build a dock over on this location or something here just to double down on the efficiencies for his fishing ships here. If he puts the dock over here, for example, it's not the worst of ideas as this dock will come up. Now, I'm a bit surprised to see Joe struggling with that dock plate or the dock timings here, because it's really, really obvious with Egyptian when to put it down. Basically, you put it down super early. We do see the temple coming up, but you put it down super early after that second dock comes down, and you're always going to be able to get these fishing ships out, as we see a second dock coming up over here, and potentially this fishing ship will drop a dock on this location as well, just to make sure, I guess, and especially because the fish are in odd positions. So this will help out. This will help out quite a bit here in terms of Joe's fishing ships. Whereas, see Nullus on this location, this is what makes this a little bit difficult, this map, and maybe something that needs to be tweaked a little bit here, is that you don't exactly know where to put the fish down. Now, I'm pretty sure if you send your Toskopos, your early game scout over here, you're going to be able to scout this and see, oh, I should put the dock over here on this side is a million times better than over this side. Well, or should I say 80% better than over this side, maybe. I don't know. Thank you for the rating party, Moscow. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for that one. Hope your stream went well. We are seeing Bars coming through here for Joe and Athena coming through here for Nullus. Now, sometimes this map is very, very nice to players, and sometimes it's very, very mean to players. On this one, we're seeing both players getting a back gold mine. Now, this doesn't happen every time on this map, so this is really, really good for Nullus. Less so for Joe, because Joe's going to have all the advantages in the early stages of this game. He's got plenty of hunt in his main base. He's going to be completely fine. I don't particularly like this early prosperity. It seems like Joe's going to be trying to grab himself a fast second town center when I would much prefer him to be going for some sort of a classical, not a classical fight, some sort of a one town center fast heroic into really, really early pressure onto Nullus. But he seems to be going for a fast second town center here. He's also going to be able to get himself early per scene out with everything to boot. And we'll see how it all goes. Did he get pickaxe before? He didn't get pickaxe. Man, that's a huge hit to the actual boost of the economy there. Pickaxe is so important. Shaft mine also is a huge boost to the gold income. I'm clicking that one up. Now, Joe might actually decide to go for 3 town centers here now. We already see the Minotaur on this location, Ajax and Chiron moving across the map as Joe's Ice is going after this town center here as the Sphinx going to be trying to take down the Cadoskopos with 2 priests out and the Pharaoh. He should be more than able to defend against this early game harass, but he must be very careful here as the Minotaur coming in onto this location. We do see the Ajax in as well as the Chiron. The Pharaoh about to start getting whacked away. We'll have to start retreating here as the Sphinx moving off into the Netherland here as the Minotaur getting some good damage done onto the town center here as the priest coming through here to try and start getting a little bit of damage here. The Pharaoh might actually have to run all the way back home here as will he be able to get to the tower or not is a big question as the Chiron chases that one down. Ajax back over onto this location. Nullus just trying to slow this town center down, and he does manage to do so. He gets his town center up first here with considerable advantage. Joe, on the other hand, at this point, did he get himself per scene? Yes, he did. So he's got that advantage ticking over for himself a little bit earlier than Nullus. Joe's also got the gold right now to drop this town center over here. He could also do a sneaky and try and grab this town center, kind of knowing that the Chiron is over on this location, as Chiron's going to be moving past the town center and making sure that it's not going up. All the units retreating back. We do see the Minotaur over on this location, as well as a wall going to be coming up over here to try and defend all of the gold and the resources over on this location as well here. And we'll see how things are going to go as that wall is getting brutally murdered over here as the priest going to be making their way over onto this location. Joe making the safe route here with the priest. He could very easily take this Minotaur out. 88 HP. We do see the Sphinx going to be retreating back as the Chiron and Ajax have got to be on the tail there. As we do see the hardest folly has been found here for Nullus. This one's not really that useful here. Now, there is the Cadoskopos over here who will be getting the extra benefit of the 2 line of sight, but look at how much line of sight it actually sees at the moment. The Sphinx has actually still got more line of sight than the Cadoskopos. As the Sphinx coming in onto this location, Nullus going to be retreating away into the corner there. I like the idea of keeping the line of sight here in the corner just to make sure that he can prevent any sort of markets that go over there. As we are now starting to see the walls coming up and Joey's attempting to get himself to the heroic age incredibly fast here. Whereas Nullus, on the other hand, what is his plans? At the moment, Nullus at the moment has considerably less resources than I would have expected out of him. I'm not sure exactly what he spent them on. Maybe economic upgrades. Does have hand axe, does have pickaxe. He is finding another relic over here. The Anvil of Hephaestus coming through for Nullus is going to be a big, big assistance. As we see the 3rd town center getting put up here by Joe. He's got all of the food he needs to advance to the next stage, but is yet to find the gold. This is a really, really interesting decision here from Joe. One thing that I've found when I play Isis against Hades in particular is that Isis really it's really, really difficult to find an advantage against the Hades players. We do see a barracks getting dropped here by Joe. The question is, like, what is the ultimate best composition to kind of go against an against a Hades player as Isis if they're making Hippocon and Toxotes? That's generally the composition that a Hades player goes against Egyptian. Now, as Ra, you can kind of play around those Toxotes kind of nicely with and Hippocon kind of nicely with cavalry. But you can't do that as Isis because the cavalry, they don't have enough speed and they don't have enough HP and they don't have enough damage. The Ra buffs those up the wazoo and it's really, really helpful. So you can't go cavalry against Hades. So the other options are to go some sort of spearman or some sort of elephant. So what does Joe plan to do here is the big question. If we take a look at his economic upgrades, he should have shaft mine in, but he doesn't yet have that one researched with a ton of villagers on the gold right now. And Nullus, he will be able to advance very soon. He's getting himself the town center up. And we'll see how things are going to go. As Nullus, he really hasn't put down too many stables just yet. The armory coming up, units coming through onto this location as well. As the wooden walls are going to get broken down over here, as Joe's just putting up more and more walls, trying to play nice and defensively. Shaftmine finally coming through for Joe as Nephthys now coming in as well. We'll be hitting that heroic age first as Nullus, I mean, he's not really spending his resources. I'm surprised there's the Aphrodite clicked up there for Nullus. As, I mean, the real plan here for Nullus should be, because there's so much hunt on the map, bang, 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 all of this stuff. On these 4-2 town centers, I would recommend for most Greek players, just in this sort of a situation, just put stable archery range, or all stables probably be better here. And the same thing over here, in like kind of a plus shape around that town center to make sure that you're making it really, really tough for an Egyptian player to make a timing push happen, like a set player or an ISIS player or even a Ra player make that timing push really difficult to make that work. Because we are seeing a handful of spearmen coming out for Joe. Now, the beautiful thing about a spearman ISIS is that what you can do is, if you want to go heavy spearman here as ISIS, one, it catches off guard a Hades player who's not scouting too well. But two, what you can actually do instead of putting down the Migdol stronghold, you can just put down two siege works and just make siege towers from the get-go to start putting pressure on, get yourself heavy spearmen, plus even get some upgrades out of the armory. And that push is going to be really, really fast, much, much faster than a Migdol stronghold type timing attack. That being said, this is a timing attack that is very slow because it's 3 town centers, but nonetheless, it's a thing. As we see Nullus now starting to get his stables up over here, mining camps coming in. He's in the third age right now. More military buildings coming down on this side, and a very, very interesting formation here from Nullus. I haven't seen this from him just yet. He's opting for a spaced formation in buildings to potentially allow his Toxotes to kind of sneak in between these cracks and kind of defend against things like myth units, the Ancestors Eclipse, all this stuff. He's going to have these little narrow walkways, so to speak, to retreat through. But we do see that right now, Nullus has actually got more population than Joe. Joe's getting himself Sultan 4, fortified town centers coming through, siege towers coming out, war elephants coming out, villages getting built, all the good stuff. So he is going for some war elephants in this game, but this slows down the timing push even more. Elephants take 15 seconds to train. That's a long time to train, whereas like a Hippocon in the heroic age, I believe it's only 10 seconds. No, it's 15 seconds as well. So 15 seconds as well, but you have like multiple different stables. That's why I was thinking it's a bit faster, because obviously Hippocon come out much more quickly, it seems, than Elephant. And if you have 2 stables, then you're training twice as fast as an Egyptian player would be training elephants, right? Anyways, nonetheless, we are seeing those elephants coming out. Joe's at 121 and 154 population here. Nullus starting to put some pressure onto Joe, as Joe kind of needs to retreat here. He is yet to have an army that can quite fight this Nullus army. And Nullus is going to be putting some real pressure onto Joe here. Underneath town center fire, underneath Migdol stronghold fire, heavy cavalry, heavy archers coming through for Nullus as he is trying his darndest here to force out a defensive Ancestors Eclipse. But can he just defend here? We do see fortified town centers coming in. That's going to be a huge assistance for Joe's defense, giving the 19.8 damage. And we do indeed see Ancestors Eclipse having to be dropped there by Joe, as he just loses so much stuff. But he's going Mythic Age right here, right now, with plenty of resources in the bank. The big question is going to be, what sort of a push is Joe going to be able to do with this Osiris? He's going to have tons of gold. He's going to have tons of resources to put towers down or mercenary spam. The town centers are relatively close here. So this is actually the best kind of case scenario for an Egyptian against the Hades, is close town centers where you can spam mercenary at your opponent. Joe at this point, he's still really low on population here. He's not making spearmen. He's not making siege. He's only making elephants out of this one Migdol stronghold, as the next Migdol coming up on this position here will be a big, big help. But look at the units that Nullus has. it's not like Nullus has done anything too crazy. He's just gone straight for his upgrades here, straight for his line upgrades, full population. And his army is just really strong at this point. We see the Migdol Stronghold is up. Military buildings going down. Villagers jumping into the Migdol Stronghold here. But the Hippocon are taking this down really, really fast here as the Son of Osiris getting closer and closer not to coming into this fight here with 80% Osiris on the way. Heavy Spearman coming through here for Joe as Restoration getting dropped down by Nullus to try and hold to some degree or take out this Migdol Stronghold. We don't see Masons in here for Joe as he's going to have to retreat. Building the Migdol Stronghold is falling or about to fall here as Joe's still trying to push through. Joe's still only at 130 population. He's not able to get to that pop that he needs to as the Son of Osiris is going to be coming through here. We see it get converted. Can he defend this Son of Osiris from afar as he doesn't manage to snipe one unit very, very easily? The secret with Son of Osiris against these kind of low-range archers is to only have the Son of Osiris targeting melee units. As soon as the Toxotes run forward, you got to be making that quick retreat there as Joe not paying attention for the time being, but his mercenary cavalry have streamed into this location as Joe is just saying, look, I don't need Migdol units. I don't need barracks units. Mercenary cavalry will do for now, but the problem is that Joe just doesn't have the siege. He's making siege towers. Now, I wouldn't mind seeing a handful of catapults coming in here with some walls, with some towers, especially with the idea of these mercenary being a big, big part of his game plan. The other idea here is to take all of the villagers off of food for a little bit and just chuck them over onto gold mines. So you have 0 on food, everyone on gold, and you just spam mercenary. It might be enough to break this sort of a hold here, like mercenary, chariots, siege towers in this situation would be really, really strong. As the Son of Osiris getting pulled back, more siege towers coming in onto this location here as the mummy getting targeted down over here, retreating back. And meanwhile, on this top location over here, we do see the heavy units starting to get a little bit of raids happening onto Joe as he is desperately trying to hold on to gold. Meanwhile, what other gold mine does he have? He's got this back gold mine over here. Joe has not been able to set up on this position to hold, and he is retreating back. But with that attack that's coming through by Nullus, this does give Joe a little bit of time here to make this attack work. More siege towers pushing through here, taking stables down, taking these potential sentinels falling here, as well as Joe's still trying to break through here. He's still just making siege towers and no catapults here just yet. Obviously, catapults are very difficult to use without the rock. You need to put walls up in advance and try and make that work there. As we do see these Toxotes still getting some good damage done onto Son of Osiris, but there, Joe utilizing the garrison capabilities of a siege tower to hold onto that Son of Osiris there as villagers getting picked off. We do see that Joe's now jumping onto this wood line with all of those villagers over there. He's only got 28 villagers currently on gold, and I say only got, and that's really a thing. Generally speaking, ISIS players who are spamming mercenary need to have a ton more villagers on gold to make that work. Right now, Joe is getting no armory upgrades here, or no army upgrades at all here, no military upgrades for his units. He is just banking resources for something. He might be thinking about getting a Titan out or something here in this game, but he's just trying to keep Nullus on the back foot. And here's the big thing. Nullus right now, he is still... Am I right about this? I'm trying to be. Yes, he's still in the heroic age. He hasn't hit the mythic age just yet. He doesn't have the food here in this game. He's got plenty of gold. He's got plenty of wood, but no food. He's spending that currently on a trade route, trying to start that trade route up before he decides to go to the next age. Defending nicely, trading nicely with his Toxotes at this point because Joe doesn't have himself heavy chariots just yet. He's trying to spam the chariots out. He definitely could use heavy chariots at this point to help out as the Son of Osiris, the mummy, getting pulled back. Son of Osiris taking a ton of damage here as it does garrison into that siege tower, retreating back here as Joe. He is slowly but surely, well, Nullus slowly but surely here is chipping away at Joe's Son of Osiris as the chariot archers here, the backbone of the Egyptian army, doing tons of damage onto these units. But is it enough? Right now, I feel like Nullus is kind of trolling ever so slightly with these prodromus. Yes, the prodromus are actually quite good against these mercenary cavalry, but he needs to have high pierce armor units here, and that's one of the big things that the Hippocon has here with 39% pierce armor. That's why you need it. It's got tons of HP plus 39 PS armor, so it holds for quite some time. But with Nullus building these prodromus, which are both good against the Mercenary and good against the Siege Towers, is that unit composition good enough or not is the big question. Now, maybe Nullus doesn't care. He's already advanced through Hephaestus here. Maybe the kill-loss ratio at this point is relatively equal, if not slightly favoring Joe here, but slightly favoring is never enough against Hades. You have to be a solid amount of kill-loss ahead of the Hades to be kind of winning, because Hades losing units just means he gets units for free in the Hades shade. As these Hippocon coming around onto this location here, we do see another Migdol stronghold coming up as the walls coming through here for Nullus. Joe can utilize siege towers to knock that down relatively easily, as the Son of Osiris is still retreating back. Now we have the champion chariots in for Joe. He's going to start being able to win these fights. Champion chariots versus heavy Toxotes. That's a good unit choice there. I wouldn't mind seeing things like PS armor coming through for Joe as well. Plenty of resources, but he's just kind of ignoring those armory upgrades at this point. Obviously, Nullus here is ignoring the upgrades because he's about to hit a Hephaestus. He's got the 35 favor. He's got the 300 gold for Forge of Olympus to get those cheaper armory upgrades. But he's got to wait that minute to research it before he gets them cheaper. So Joe does get, if you do focus armory upgrades a little bit with Egyptian, you do get a timing to really start getting an advantage against the Greek when they're going for this kind of delayed armory upgrades through Hephaestus strategy. And Joe here has not really even started. He's now only just getting himself copper shields. We are seeing the villagers trying to push through over here, trying to get access to a corner. It's trying to start a trade route as well. Immediately, we see champion cavalry coming through for Nullus. He's got tons of resources coming. Look at the economy. 80 villagers, nearly 20 donkey caravans, 10 fishing ships. He is full send on the economy. He's going to be hitting full population, full late game, full send Hades really, really fast here in this game. We are seeing that the Toxotes here getting sniped down very, very quickly by these champion chariots, as we are now having Colossus coming through onto this position now. Late game Hades, late game Isis. If the Isis player has got a trade route, arguably the Isis player can kind of hold, especially with close town centers like in this situation. But at this moment here, Joe needs to put a ton of effort into securing this corner to start a trade route. Otherwise, Joe is going to have the economic advantage here, and he's going to be able to continue just pushing in, kind of taking less than ideal trades, but he's going to be able to make it work as the Son of Osiris cleans up that Colossus quick smart there with the siege towers breaking through over. We do see those Hippocon coming in. Champion Hippocon, really, really good in the kind of early, late game stage, or even like late mid-game stage, so to speak. But once the late game hits and towers come down, those Hippocons stop being useful. So once you see those Hippocon come out, as Joe, you need to get yourself crenellations and put towers up. But at this point, Joe's got no gold in the bank. Let's take a look at the trade route here. 35 gold. He's going from this corner up to this corner. It's not the best. Meanwhile, over here, we do see 95 gold for Nullus. So he is enjoying that a lot here. He's probably also got coinage already. Yes, he does. Does Joe also have coinage? No. Joe's been in the Mythic Age for quite some time. No coinage just yet. So he's also losing out where that's concerned. It's iron weapons, bronze mail, burning pitch, heavy infantry, everything coming through here for Nullus. As Nullus, with that heavy infantry already, we haven't actually seen a single infantry unit coming out just yet for Nullus. So this is just Nullus saying, just in case I need to tech switch away from cavalry. Right now, cavalry are really good because there's no towers up. Just in case he needs to switch away from cavalry, he's getting his champion infantry as well. That just goes to show how far in front Nullus's economy is at this point, as now the Heliopoli starting to roll in, starting to become a very, very real nuisance for Joe at this point. Joe's in a tough position. 28 camel caravans, 62 villages here, 10 fishing ships at this point, as the Son of Osiris retreats away into the Migdol stronghold. And Joe's got to be asking himself the question now in this game, why didn't he put some more effort into trying to secure the map here, going for the 3 town centers? Maybe the answer here isn't to try and push the Hades play, but rather secure the corner first, as hard as you possibly can. Take these walls down nice and early if you're going to be playing for the late game. Grab that corner as best as you can. But He hasn't managed to do that. He's still trying to push through here, but Nullus, he's just full send on the Heliopoli here. Look at the 4 Heliopoli rolling in. Joe's got nothing remaining here in the tank to really hold his 150 or 169 population. He can't even spam mercenary cavalry at this point as those Heliopoli are just melting the Migdol stronghold. Not only that, we've got Castrofidi coming out onto this location. More walls coming down here as well. And if Nullus wants to here, he is putting walls up over this location to completely shut Joe out. He can also start building Gastrofidis to take Joe out on this side as well, as Joe's putting down a ton of those siege works over there to attempt to maybe do some sort of a side push over here to try and take this town center out or something. But now we see Champion Infantry and Sarissa coming through. So Nullus is also going to be getting those Athena upgrades to boost his infantry here. But in that moment, Joe does tap out and Nullus gets the dub here. Ladies and gentlemen, every time we watch some Age of Mythology, we learn something new. We're trying to work out how to get better all together. And look, here's the real rub of this matchup and the way that Joe played it and why it didn't quite work out for him. The big problem here is, simply put, that Joe could not secure his corner. If Joe's got 30 camel caravans at this point, in all honesty, and they're getting the 95 gold that Nullus is getting, plus he empowers it, he's got to have more than enough resources to get himself his upgrades and get himself mercenary out to get to that end game, to get to that late game kind of Egyptian dream kind of play style that he wants, right? So if he had that gold, he'd definitely have the resources. In fact, if you take a look at the post game here, this will tell you a lot about that gold from the trade, where Nullus here nearly at 7,000 gold from trade, whereas Joe's only at 3,000. Normally for Egyptian, the Egyptian player is above the gold income that their opponent is. So Nullus is just out macroed, out controlled the map. The question here is, if Joe, he built the barracks in the classical age, if Joe had utilized his spearmen to push into this corner and deny Nullus from just sending a villager over and putting these walls up early, in fact, he sends his own villagers over to the corners here to put these walls up and secure himself a corner of the map, he would be actually in a really decent position here. The other problem here that I think that Joe needs to, and Egyptian players in general, is how do you manage to afford everything while getting yourself those armory upgrades? You've got to work that out. You have to get yourself things like copper mail, copper shields. Those upgrades early against the Greek army are so vitally important, because the Greek player doesn't want to get those upgrades. The Greek player wants to hold off on every single little upgrade to get as much out of Forge of Olympus as possible. I think I did the math on this once, where you take a look at the actual resources that it costs here for these upgrades. I'm not sure that's exactly accurate with those upgrades. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But if you get every single one of those upgrades with Forge of Olympus, I mean, you're saving what, 75% in the armory cost. But I think you save somewhere in the vicinity of 3,000 to 4,000 resources by getting every single armory upgrade. So every upgrade you kind of force your opponent to get before clicking Forge of Olympus is a huge win for the other player, for the other team. And I think you just have to opt into getting those armor upgrades earlier. Anyways, Nullus plays it so absurdly well. If you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys in the next game.